Hello and welcome to day 14 of 100 days of VBA. Today we're going to look at a conditional statement, so an if statement, where we can do a test to see if something is true, and if it's true, perform an action, or if it's not true, perform a different action. Very much like an equals if function in Excel itself. Let's get started. So let's define our function for now. So we're going to call it conditional. We're going to declare a variable called our value, and we're going to just use an integer to make it nice and easy, and we're going to set our value to 1. Now here comes our if statement. So it's very simple. We just say if, and then we do our test. So this is something that has to give a true or false result. So let's say if value is equal to 1. And now the simplest way to write this conditional statement is to do it all on one line and say then. So if value is equal to 1, then do something else. We will say then value equals value plus 1. So if our value is equal to 1, then it will add another one to it and our value will be 2. Now to test that, we will just write it to our sheet. In cell A1, where we can just see it nice and easily. There we go, let's run it. So we say we've got 2 in our sheet. If we change our value to 10, however, and run it, then we write 10 to the sheet because our value is 10, so value equals 1 is not true, so we don't add anything to our value. It's only if our value is equal to 1 that we do this extra function and add 1 to our value. Now, the other way to write a function is to have multiple things that can happen if it's true. And in that case, you can write it on multiple lines. So let's say value equals value plus 1, and we're going to create value 2 as well, and make that equal to 2. And then what we'll do is, if that's true, we'll make value 2 10 times larger. We'll multiply it by 10, and we'll write that to cell A2. Now, if you do multiple things as part of our if, and we have multiple lines, we have to tell VBA that that's the end of our conditional statement. So you have to do an end if, similar to how we end our functions, or if you remember our with clause, how we end our with as well. So now if a value is equal to 1, we're going to add 1 to our value, and we're going to times our value 2 by 10. There we go, we've got 2 and 20. But if we make our value 1 10, then we have 10 and 2 because we're not doing either of these extra conditional features. Now, what if you want to do something else if that test is not true? So then we use our else clause. So now we have if value equals 1, then do this. Else, so if that's not true, then we're going to do something else. Let's say we're going to minus or divide instead. So now if we run our function, our value is not equal to 1, it's equal to 10. So we're not going to do these two, we're going to do everything else. So we're going to minus 1, so 10 is now 9, and we're going to divide our value 2 by 10. So 2 over 10 is now 0.2. So there we go, and you can do other conditionals. So instead of just saying if that's true or if anything else is true, we can say else if, let's say value equals 2, then we're going to say value equals value plus 2, and value 2 equals value 2 times 20. And I've just added an extra space there, so else if is all one word. So now let's make our value 2, so run that. And now you can see what's happened is, let's add some spaces there so we can see a bit clearer. So if value equals 1, then do this. Else, so if value doesn't equal 1, but if it is equal to 2, then do this. And in any other circumstance, do that. So let's make our value say 200. And then that's going to do it. So if it's 201, still going to run this bit because everything else runs that. So there we go. That's an intro into conditional functions in VBA.